Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
Hello and welcome to Popternative. This is the podcast and talk show where we have digital discussions, the worlds of TV, film, news, sports, lifestyle, music, everything really depending on a guest to talk about it all. As always, I'm your host, Peter Remoliotis. On social media, you know me as PD Beats. Mighty Ducks Game Changers just dropped March 26th on Disney+, but we are speaking to a member of the original Mighty Ducks from the three Mighty Ducks films. He's back for his third time on the show. Matt Doherty is back with us. OG played Lester Averman. Matt, welcome back to Popternative, man.
I'm sporting my post-opening day, my mad love for my.
I was about to say, I noticed that
boys.
right away. As soon as I saw you in the White Sox stuff, I was like, yeah, I clued in. It was opening day.
I purposely did it. You know, yesterday was a hard day. I'm already mourning opening day, so hopefully it'll be a better today. So
absolutely. Well,
that's
thank
good
you.
To be with you, man.
Yeah, man, absolutely. I mean, 3 times on the show. Do I need to get you a mug or a jacket or something? Like, you've been on the show 3 times.
Yeah. I mean, I think like the deal that I had arranged. Did you get that memo I sent from my lawyer? Oh, you're gonna get it.
I'm gonna get it right after this episode.
In a minute, because the third time, it's you know what's so strange about this like screen world.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not alone in this. You end up looking like, where am I supposed to look? Like I'm like,
true.
sometimes I'll go. I'm like sitting here with you and I'm totally present. And then I'm like, you know, Hugo's got some good light back. That's the plant. Or, you know, do I look at the green dot? You know,
I have like my webcam like on top of my computer, right? So when I do my intro, like I'm literally like, I don't know if it looks like I'm looking at you, but I'm not. Like I'm looking at the webcam.
Yeah.
Which is.
And I had a friend who's got no filter, and he's like, yeah, sometimes I just look at myself, and I think I'm self-evolved, and I'm like, he's saying the very thing that none of us want to admit.
I know. It is crazy. But you know, I said it on the top, Mighty Ducks Game Changers. I mean, this is just a great resurfacing of nostalgia I think we all needed right now, man. The Ducks are back. The Quack Attack is back, in the words of your character.
Jack. I think that, then you're supposed to say Jack.
The Quack Attack is back, Jack.
Jack.
It's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, these awful and weird times that never end that we're all kind of dealing with.
Yep.
That feels so personal and individual, but I'm sure when we all come out of our trenches and we powwow about all of our experiences, we'll probably find, when we're really honest with each other, that a lot of them are very same. Up, down, everything in between. Things we've lost, things we've gained, right? But like, I think something comforting, something positive, something when it's coming from that OG Disney place, like they've got that down. Like this is, I mean, I hate that word brand. Like they got it. They're like, okay, we're gonna pump you full of that hope.
Yep.
We're gonna and like I think there's something to be said about that. And then Emilio talked a lot about this too, you know, in a lot of his interviews, and then when we were chatting and when we were up there, and just that it's all about inclusivity, you know, it's about people who are underrepresented. It's about people who are forgotten, or is cast aside. I mean, that's what it really, if you really look at like what it means to be D5, especially District 5, you know, we were talking about that, like that neighborhood that would be District 5 in the first Ducks is you know, not is what is like a poor neighborhood, you know, in an urban city. Mm-hmm. And so just the fact that all these things, and it's through the fact that like an underdog gets to win.
Yeah.
So or, you know, gets to learn something along the way about winning not mattering, you know?
Absolutely. No, it's there. And we'll talk about the Game Changers, but it's one thing too, because I talked to Marguerite recently about this, who plays Connie, and it's interesting because for me, the original, like I grew up with the Mighty Ducks, right? Like this is my childhood. You know what I mean? Lester Averman, your character, it's a big part of our childhood. You know what I mean? that was a roller coaster of 3 movies in terms of storylines, where starting like you said at the District 5, right, then going representing Team USA, and then people don't talk about D3 as much, but I love the school scholarship, Eden Hall Warriors. I love that storyline. That was an awesome storyline.
We beat Iceland, but now we're JV,
Junior varsity. It's true, but it's just like, do you ever think about the evolution and growth of the Ducks over the years? Is really interesting to see, and people go back and kind of watch that trilogy over and over again because there is big time growth there.
Yeah, the Jordan Kerner, who produced all the films and worked closely with Steve and the other writers that and all just the creation of the whole thing.
Yeah,
and I love Jordan because there's no difference between who he is and what he does and how he does it, which is really rare in Hollywood. And like he really is what he promotes. Mm-hmm. And that's just like a rare bird. That's like an endangered species. You know what I mean? Oh, yeah. And but just the sense that these are outcasts, and then then they grow up a little bit and they find that they, just like Gordon, they get all these possibilities, and then they have to realize that those things don't matter. And these are things we learn in life, right? And then we learn about that sometimes things don't go our way, and we have to rally and like still like learn to play defense and what that means, right?
Oh man,
and
that 8-goal lead in the third is still,
those are huge lessons that like you can impart to like what it means to be a very awkward age, man.
Yeah.
So I that's why that stuff never gets old.
But that still stings. That 8-goal lead.
That's brutal. I
still get upset. I had a chance to talk to Robert Lieberman, who directed D3 a while ago, about it, and that's still. That whole thing, like always, that hurts, man. That was a tie, and it feels like one of the worst losses the Ducks have ever had.
Have you had Jeff on the show yet? Have you had Jeff Nordling on the show yet?
No, I want to talk to. I need to talk to Coach O'Ryan, and
you might need an hour. He won't shut up.
Well, the thing about him,
I'm just joking. I just love Jeff.
He is such an amazing actor.
Oh, he's an amazing actor. He's one of the best actors.
Big Little Lies.
Oh yeah.
Like he was so good in that, right? And that's like it's funny because those shows, I talked to people about this before, have like big cast, right? Nicole Kidman, like huge cast, right? And then there's like the supporting cast, right? And when it's focusing on kind of like 3 or 4 people, when someone comes in and blows your mind with a scene or 2 here and there, like Jeff did in that. That's when
Meryl Streep is on it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
But like I remember, like he was one of the best. Like he was one of the best parts of Big Little Lies. Like, but yeah, hopefully I can talk to him one day. But yeah, that always drives me nuts. The 8-goal lead.
Yeah, I love how much you love Ducks 3 because there's a great message in D3, man.
Yeah,
it's a great
but
message.
I wish it would have been like a little more realistic. Maybe like 8 goals in the third period. Like that team you guys were playing was awful. You know what I mean? I talked to Robert Lieberman about that. He didn't know what to say. Like I don't think he expected me to be as passionate about that.
I don't think Rob knows hockey as well as you do, man.
No, but it's so much fun. These 2 as well, though, just like the big scale, like that game, like that championship game against Iceland. I always wanted to ask you because it just looked so big scale, right, with the crowd and the bright colors. What was it like shooting? What was the process of shooting that last game? Was that over a couple of days? Like, what do you remember about that?
It's one of the most singular memories of my life for sure, and I've been fortunate to have a few. The Honda Center, which is what it's called now, was called the Pond then, right? Which is great. I still call it the Pond. And like I call Comiskey Park where the White Sox play. Like it's guaranteed. What is it? It's Comiskey Park.
Yeah.
It's actually New Comiskey if you ask a Chicagoan. But at the Pond, where the Anaheim Ducks play, like it hadn't even opened yet.
Yeah.
Like literally the coat of paint was like fresh. We come off of 6 weeks of like playing hockey and going to school. Like that was our high school. We were like a hockey. You could feel like we did we were like this very small hockey magnet school with like 10 to 12 people. We play for 3 to 4 hours of hockey with a little break in between, and then we do 3 to 4 hours of school, and then et cetera, et cetera. And then that was like what we did for like 5 weeks, right? And then right from that, we go down to Anaheim and go to this building that's not even open yet. And the first thing I think we did was like, there was this like tension because we knew like in 5 days there was going to be like 12,000 people in that building
Yeah.
or whatever it holds. And that they were like radio broadcasts to try to get people down there. They were going to give tickets away on a cruise. And it was like it was a big event. And it turns out like friends I have now were kids and they were like the parents had taken them to go. They were there at that. And it's like, and it was this big thing. They were like, and they had like radio DJs who were trying to make it fun. We had Hall of Fame announcers, right, that were there, and like literally NHL announcers, and they had like 10 cameras, and then but the first day it was just a bunch of cardboard stand-ups. So we get there, and it's like you're like, oh my god, we're gonna play on this rink, holy wow, and it's empty, and we were in the like clubhouse locker room with the like, which is rigged to be an NHL one, and this is where we would hang. And I'm like, this is insane.
Yeah.
And then I remember they had like, because they're not gonna fill it for 2 weeks or however long we did that, because that's way too much money, right? So what you do is you kind of set it all up where you get that one day with all of it. And then you kind of like, so at first we had cardboard, like they would move them around. So there'd be like this guy like this, you know? They would just pick him up and they'd move him. And then we'd be, because it was all like zooming in close and stuff like that. And then they would move the cardboard and then they have to move it around the other side. And then the next couple of days we had like 500 people. And so they'd have that. And then they'd move the crowd. And then we had like 2,000 people. And then the thing was packed. And that was the day that Michael Eisner, who was president of Disney, was there.
Yep.
Wayne Gretzky had shown up. I mean,
big scale, like that was
it
like,
was nuts.
Yeah, that was so, because it's funny, like the Pee Wee Championship game against the Hawks at like a local Pee Wee arena, right? And then the third is like the game in the college arena, right? Right in the middle, like the biggest stage in D2 at the Pond, right? It's crazy. It's amazing. It just but it's just like we go back like. D2 is like people like just because from the Goodwill Games and all the countries and like that whole the tournament, like we just like that might be a fan favorite Mighty Ducks movie because of that big scale. Do you agree with that a little bit?
Oh yeah. And I think what it says, the irony about growing too big for your britches, or like the idea of Hendrix hockey and what that represents in corporate. Like,
and Hendrix is back in Mighty Ducks Game Changers. Hendrix is back.
That's the whole thing. And I remember when when I first read what they had written, I was like, oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, that's brilliant.
The Ducks are the Hawks now.
Yeah. And it makes like
so much sense.
Well, it makes sense because the way we I think is you can become the very thing you fight against. And I love that they that the genius that Steve to flip that and then make the kids the outcasts of the Ducks that couldn't even be and I just think it was great. And I really loved being able to go and experience these young kids experience their excitement and how much and it's COVID times, so like everybody wants to be together, and even though we're all in this like really secluded bubble, and you're within the bubble, so you can kind of, but like just to be able to sit and have outdoor lunch with some of these young kids and listen to them tell their stories, and and how what it was like for them to be there,
Talking
and
to
then to
them,
watch the crew interact
Yeah.
with the kids, and you're like, was I that difficult? You know? It's
well,
like-
they were all like, I talked to a lot of the new Mighty Ducks Game Changers on the show. Like, all of the episodes are getting released every day now, and they just love talking to the original Ducks. Like, they say that was
Oh,
like
man.
one of the cool, like Emilio and all of you guys. Like, it was like the coolest thing for them. They were like,
Yeah.
"Is this real?"
And I got to watch like how like here you are, you got these kids, and they're just kids that want to play.
Yeah.
I mean, they get out there, and there's cameras, there's equipment, and then we just want to like, we're like, there's nothing going on, so we're trying to play some hockey. And I realized, I was like, oh my God, this is what it must have been like. Cause it's like, how do you stop? It's like a PE class with $1 million worth of equipment. We're trying to like, hey, come on, maybe we just relax for a little bit, and just seeing how, I just took me back to the experience of being that age, and
Yeah.
it was surreal is the only way to describe it.
When because there were like the announcements and the photos were revealed that you guys were back and everything. I mean, that just kind of seeing those photos and seeing everyone back and everything. What was that like for you, kind of being back with Margaret and Vince and Eldon? Like, what was that whole like for you as well? Like being back with everyone.
We got to spend some good time together, and we all laughed that it was just like no time had passed.
Yeah.
You know, here we are, and we're not working, and we were hanging out watching the Dodgers World Series, and you know how like this, like I hadn't hung out with anyone for months because of the COVID era and stuff, and so here we are, we're able to just be together, and it was like crazy. Like I think I turned to Vinny, and we're like, wow, this is just like we were kids again, and here we are just hanging out, eating pizza, watching in Elden's room. You know, it's like, and it's just, that's what I mean. It was so surreal. It was so incredible to watch how awesome these kids were, and just how much fun they're having, and really feel like that you're a part of something that is that's got like legs, that's connecting to a whole new era and time, and
Well,
it just floored me.
it's interesting too, because you know what so Cobra Kai on Netflix did this thing where they did the mix of the new nostalgia and the old nostalgia with the Karate Kid actors coming back and the new Cobra Kai. I think the same thing's gonna happen here. People love that mix of the old and the new, which I think is really big as well. Like, I think people just love that. They love the old and the new, and it's just interesting. It's also interesting to see that with the new Mighty Ducks, like the new Game Changers, there's a little bit of everyone's old characters as well. Like Averman is a little bit like, if Averman was in the podcast era, Averman would have his own podcast.
Oh, I know.
Let's
We
be
hung
real.
out. Him and I hung out. He's like, I'm you. I'm like, you totally are, man.
Nick the Stick Gaines. What a great character.
Yeah, we talked, and I was like, this guy's me. I'm like looking at this kid. I'm like, this is weird.
Did you have a chance to see the pilot yet? Like the first episode, or like clips of it?
I have. Yeah.
They have the music, man. Like the
It's
music's back. Like they brought it all back. It's awesome.
Yeah, it was. It's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, like sometimes you're like, God, I hope it's good, you know. And then, but like in this case, I'm like, wow, there's a lot of ways one could have, you know, when you there's so many things where you know, the nostalgia, if it's done right, and there's that, and it can be reinvented. Oh man, so it's just to play a part in it is great.
Absolutely. Before we wrapped up too, like you're a big music guy. You do a lot of the songwriting, and you do a lot of your music stuff. And obviously, music's been very difficult for a lot of musicians during the COVID. Did you see yourself doing a lot of writing? Did you see yourself kind of experimenting, kind of getting out of your comfort zone, maybe because you have an opportunity just to kind of stay at home and write and do different things, experiment?
I mean, I like a lot of my friends who play had a difficult time playing, if
Yeah.
I was honest. We were close to doing a couple projects that we worked really hard on, and they all had to get paused. And so it was really hard to, pick up the thing. And then, but I spend most of my time writing for the stage and for film and TV. So like my life, oddly enough, doesn't that aspect, like I'm in my office, it's like, so it's like in a way the lack of I was able to just keep writing, which is really great, because I know a lot of performers who are it's a brutal year, when if you're a performer, period, dancer, musician, actor, and that's a big part of who you are. Like, geez, that's a big loss. But being able to write, I was able to keep every day being able to be
absolutely.
Yeah.
No, for sure. Matt, thank you so much for coming back on Popternative for the third time.
I'm telling you, I'm waiting on that mug.
Absolutely.
And check out. I really want to just plug Game Changers, please. It's the perfect like warm, comfy blanket for now. Okay. And it's funny. It's really funny. And it totally lampoons all the things about today.
And on Disney Plus, people who have Disney Plus or subscribers to Disney Plus can do a really cool thing where they can watch all the Mighty Ducks movies.
Yeah.
And then go and watch Game Changers.
You can do them.
Yeah. So. Which is weird. And they can follow you Instagram, Archie Doman, right?
That's right. That's ARCHIE. Yeah. I don't know. Don't ask.
And of course, the Quack Attack is back.
Jack.
Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Matt Doherty and Petey Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.